Welcome to Mastering Your Financial Life, hosted by Judy Heft, the founder and CEO of Judith Heft and Associates Financial and Lifestyle Concierge. This year, they're celebrating 26 years in business. In every episode, Judy interviews professionals who help others successfully manage their financial lives. You can find this show on YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and more. Judy is the author of 2 books, How to Be Smart, Successful, and Organized with Your Money for a Better Today and Tomorrow, and her latest book, Mastering Your Financial Life Cycles, How to Successfully Manage Money in Every Decade of Life. You can read chapters of her books and catch prior episodes of this show at www.judithheft.com. Now here's the host of Mastering Your Financial Life, Judy Heft.
Hey everybody, welcome. I'm so pleased to be here with Marci Goldfarb. Welcome to Mastering Your Financial Life, and I am Judy Heft, President and CEO of Judith Heft and Associates, and this is our 34th episode, and they've been so interesting, and we've learned so much from our guests. And so today Marci's here with us, and Marci is senior counsel at Schwartz Ettenger, a family law office located in Long Island that specializes in trusts and estates. She does a few other things like some cannabis law and DUIs, which sound kind of interesting. That keeps it more exciting, I guess, than just the boring wills, although they can be exciting too, I guess, too. So welcome, Marci. It's great to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Thanks for joining me. So, you know what, there's just like a couple of things. I think it's so interesting to me that, you know, so many people are afraid to put their will together. They're afraid to create a will. I don't know. They're just afraid of their own demise. They don't know who to add as guardians. And so what are some of the, how does it relate to if you have a power of attorney and what happens with the will? How does that all work? You want to explain that? What happens if you don't have one and you need one?
So a power of attorney is a document that people sign that will be in existence for their lifetime. And in the power of attorney, you appoint somebody as your agent who can make financial decisions for you and take financial actions for you if you are not able to, if you are out of the country, or even if you become incapacitated in some way. If it does not survive you. So in your will, you can name people to take care of things like an executor and a trustee, but in your power of attorney, it's only available during your lifetime, and your agent can take care of your financial affairs. If you don't have a power of attorney and you become incapacitated, it's a very big problem. For instance, just go try and take care of your friend or your spouse's or your child's phone account or Cablevision. They won't speak to you unless you are in some way authorized. So if you don't have a power of attorney and you become incapacitated, we have to actually go to court and have somebody appointed as the guardian of your person and your property so that they can do all the things that a power of attorney would have let them do. But now the court's involved in your life for the rest of your life. Decisions have to be made that go before the court. Accountings have to be made to the court every year. It's very, very costly and inefficient. So all of that can be forestalled with a simple power of attorney. And when we do a power of attorney at Schwartz Ettenger, we add in a lot of language to make it very, very broad, to give your agent as much power as possible so that they can take care of many different things that you might need them to take care of.
So, and then what happens when the person passes away, then the power of attorney is null and void. Is that correct?
That's correct. The power of attorney does not survive your death.
Mm-hmm. So, what happens to your minor children if you die without a will? Because it's really, I knew some young couples that didn't have wills. And when I talked to them about that, because I find that shocking, when I talked to them about that, they said they couldn't decide who would be the guardians for their children. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I did try to encourage them, pick somebody now because you can always change that anytime. Yes, it's costly, but it's still better to have something in place just in case of an emergency. How do you feel about that? What happens if they don't have a will and they leave minor children?
You're 100% right. And actually, at Schwartz Ettenger, I have a program for young families to try to help them motivate to actually come in and do their will and their power of attorney, healthcare proxy, and living will, because it is so important to name a guardian for your child. If you do not have a will and you have not named a guardian and something happens to you, and you either don't have a spouse or something happens to your spouse at the same time, which can happen in a car, God forbid, in a car accident, which I have actually had a case where we had that happen. If there is no will, you have to, your family goes to court, and the court will appoint a guardian for your child. They may not appoint the grandparents. They may not appoint your sister, who you may have wanted to be the guardian. So if you don't take care of this, the court is going to decide who becomes the guardian of your children, and it just may not be who you want. And when you are raising your children, there are people that think like you do, act like you do, love your children, and you are going to want them to take care of your children. So you should do a will, name somebody as the guardian, name an alternate as the guardian. And you're right, Judy, if something happens and you want to change it, it's very simple to change your will. I don't really like to do codicils because they can complicate things sometimes, but a new will is not that difficult to do. And it's much better to be prepared than not to be prepared.
Yeah, and I think also in other situations too, what happens when you have an adult child, like in college age child? What should they be doing?
Well, in terms of should they have a will?
Yeah, I mean, the parents can't make decisions for them. What should they have? Parents have, you can't do anything. Once your kid's 18 and in college, doesn't matter who's paying the bills.
Yes. So when your child leaves your house and goes to college, or when your child turns 18, you should have them execute a healthcare proxy and a power of attorney, which would name you as their agent for healthcare decisions and as their agent for financial decisions. Because if something happens to your child, you are not able to talk to doctors. You are not able to do anything with their finances. You are not able to talk to the school unless you have authorization from a healthcare proxy or from a power of attorney. We actually had a case where someone was visiting New York from another state. They didn't have any documents on them. They were in a motorcycle accident. They were 18 and a half years old. The parents tried to get in touch with the hospital on the phone. The hospital would not speak to them. Parents had to fly into New York, which of course they were going to anyway, but the anxiety of, not knowing anything until they got here was devastating for them. And if they had had these documents, they could have gotten them to the hospital, faxed them over, emailed them over, and then they would have been able to have information about their child prior to having to get on a plane and get to New York.
I know, it's very interesting. I found that out, not the healthcare piece of it, but when one of my children was in college, and of course I was paying the bill and I couldn't find out anything about the grades. I was just in complete shock. And then I've learned over the years too, that's also, I knew that, about the medical piece, because you hear stories, in the news all the time about someone who's in a coma and they're estranged and the wrong person is making the decisions. So yeah, those are things that I think a lot of people don't realize, especially the college piece. It's so important.
It's very important. It's very important. We also have a program where we do them for free for college age students that are going away to school.
Oh, that's good to know. That's great. Yeah. Thank you. So Marci, we're going to take a little break now, and then we'll come back and we'll talk some more.
Great. Thanks.
Hey there. I just want to tell you a little bit about my new book that just came out called Mastering Your Financial Life Cycles. And here it is. It's how to successfully manage your money in every decade of life. I co-authored this with my CFO, Liz Levy. And together we created this manual that's going to help you through every stage of life. We talk about having a baby. We talk about young adulthood, pre-retirement, what to do when you're at that age of retirement, if you're contemplating divorce, do you need an estate plan? We cover all of these, each subject in a different chapter. And I really think that you're going to find this so helpful because at the end of every chapter, we have checklists that you can look at and you can use, and they can be a guide for you. So this is a wonderful manual that we've created. It's available on Amazon. You can also find it on our website at judithheft.com/book. And we're here for you. If you need anything, reach out. I hope you enjoy the book. Here's another picture of it, just so you know what's going on. Here it is. And I'm really proud of it. It's my second book. And I'd love to have you read it and give me your feedback. Judy Heft, judithheft.com, financial and lifestyle concierge, celebrating 26 years in business. And over the years, I've learned so much. And what I've been trying to do is impart a little bit of this knowledge to you so I can help all of you become as financially organized as I am.
And we're back with Marci Goldfarb, Trust and Estates Attorney. So Marci, can you talk to us a little bit and explain a little bit about a revocable trust and maybe the difference between revocable trust and an irrevocable trust and when, which is the best one?
So irrevocable trusts are irrevocable. Revocable trusts are revocable, and they are used for different things. An irrevocable trust can be used primarily for Medicaid purposes. If we need to get assets out of an individual's name in order to get them on Medicaid, there will be a look-back period, however, so it does require planning. We also use irrevocable trusts in certain instances to put life insurance into the trust so that we can get a certain amount of money out of a person's estate. So if we need to manage the estate taxes, then that's something that we might use in order to do so. A revocable trust is revocable. And if it's a grantor trust, you are actually going to move your assets into this revocable trust. And the purpose of doing it is a lot of people do it to avoid probate. And a lot of people do it in order to make sure that their wishes for their beneficiaries and their heirs are carried out during their lifetime and upon their death, and that it will be seamless. So if you have a revocable trust, one of the things that's very important is you must actually fund it. So you have to maybe take your house and change the deed. You maybe have to go to the bank and change the name on your bank account so that your assets are actually in the revocable trust. And in the trust, you will determine how you want your assets to be distributed, whether it's to your children, your grandchildren, or however it is that you wish. We can tailor it to your needs. We've had problems where people came to us where they had created revocable trusts and never moved anything into the trust. So it didn't really do anything for them. People who want revocable trusts in order to avoid probate sometimes forget to put every single asset into the trust. And we had this happen. I had a client who was a young mother. She had 3 young children. Her husband insisted on having a revocable trust, and he didn't have a will, and he died, and everything he thought was in the trust. But she later found one account that was in his single name, which had a significant amount of money in it. So it was worth it for her to go to court to become appointed as the administrator of his estate. So she had to go through probate anyway. So if you want to have a revocable trust in order to avoid probate, just make sure that you really do move every single account that you have into the trust, or have it have a beneficiary or a co-owner.
So why do people want to avoid probate? Is it because of the money or the time involved? I know I've heard people say it takes 2 to 3 years to settle an estate sometimes, or, it's
in New York, in New York, it's really not that bad. Probate is really not that bad. But it does take time. It could take 6, 9 months, a year. It could take longer. It depends. But one of the other reasons that it's very important, if you have property in 2 separate states and you have a trust. You would move your property. Let's just say your Florida property. You live in New York, you have property in Florida. You would move your Florida property into the revocable trust so that upon your death, even if we have to do a probate in New York, we don't have to do an ancillary probate in Florida. And other states may have much more onerous requirements than New York has, and they may take a lot longer. The probate may take a lot longer, which is the case in Florida. So that's why a lot of people who have homes in both New York and Florida will have a revocable trust, and they will move at least the Florida property into the revocable trust so that we don't have to do a second probate in Florida.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I was just wondering about that. So so this was really helpful, really great information. Is there anything else that you want to add that we forgot to ask you or talk about?
No, I don't think so. I mean, like I said, we have a special program for young families.
I love that.
I do estate planning and probate and trust administration. At the firm, we also do commercial litigation. We do employment law. We do a lot of different areas of law, and I'm happy to help anybody who wants to give us a call. If we can't handle it, I will help you find the perfect person for you.
That's great. And how can they find you? How can they reach you?
So you can reach me at msg@selawny.com. You can also look me up all over the internet, and you can call my cell phone, which is 516-398-2709.
And you're on LinkedIn?
I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I do a lot of posting. I try to make people aware of things that are important that they should be taking care of.
That's great. That's really helpful because we need to educate people out there. You know, that young couple that's afraid to make that will, hopefully they heard this and they're going to say, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I need to.
I hope so. I'd be more than happy to help anybody who wants to give us a call.
That's great. Thank you so much, Marci. It was great talking to you.
Thank you so much, Judy. This was great.
You've been listening to Mastering Your Financial Life, hosted by Judy Heft. Thank you for your positive reviews, comments, and sharing this show with others. You can read chapters of Judy's books and catch prior episodes of Mastering Your Financial Life at www.judithheft.com.